Croeso pawb to the August savings and games under £15 PSN sales. Thank God the summer sale's over, because that's usually not that great a sale, and as usual it's right, this one's much better, and there's a load of cool games for you on sale in this one. So strap yourselves in, there's some really good games to look at, and you can save a lot of money as well. So if you like the idea of saving a lot of money and finding some cool new games to play, then don't forget to subscribe, so you'll never miss a good deal again. You're welcome here anytime. Okay, this sale ends on the 28th of August, so that'll be your last day to pick up these deals. Let's look at the games. First up is a Juggler's Tail. It was released in 2021, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the low price of £2.39, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for a really interesting looking game. In this puzzle platformer, you get to play as Abby the circus marionette, as you explore a cinematically grim medieval fairy tale on your way to freedom, making use of your puppet strings to complete the unique puzzles and traverse the dangerous landscape along the way. Now, you should know by now that I'm a big fan of puzzle platformers, and this one looks like a really cool and interesting one, and some of you have said it's really good as well, which is a great recommendation, better than the official reviews in my book. But in any case, this looks like a cool puzzle platformer. It has a pretty interesting story, with a really cool idea and puzzle aspects to it. I really like the theming of it, and just the general look of the game. My gut feeling says it's a really decent game to play. So if you're a fan of puzzle games like me, and you like platformers and little adventures, then you'll probably really enjoy this. So if you like the look of it as much as I do, why not take a look at this game? It looks really cool, and I think you'll have a lot of fun if you like this sort of thing. And hey, if you've never played a puzzle platformer before, then this is a really good place to start. It may not be a big, huge, famous AAA one, but it looks really good quality, and it's at a really good price as well. So you can't ask for much more really. If you've been interested in this genre, then why not check it out? It just may turn out to be your new favourite game genre. We have some VR horror next. Blair Witch VR. It was released in 2019, so it's 5 years old, and it's on at least a 70% discount for the price of £7.49 or £4.99 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially if you've got PS Plus. Now, just be aware this is the normal edition, but the deluxe edition only includes the soundtrack and an art book, which isn't worth the extra money to me, but if you're interested in that, you'll have to wait for that version to go on sale instead. Now, this VR game does require Move controllers, so if you don't have them, you can't play them, which is great because games like this are much better in VR. It makes it more immersive and way more fun to play, so that's great. In this VR survival horror game, a young boy has disappeared in the Black Hills forest of Burkesville, Maryland. As a former police officer with a troubled past, you take your dog and join in the search for him, but the ordinary investigation soon turns into an endless nightmare. Now, what I think's really cool about this game is it's made by the Layers of Fear team, and that's a really great game, so that bodes well for this game. And the movie, which was famous back in the 90s, inspired the story. So they've basically taken a really popular film franchise from back in the 90s and made a really cool themed VR game around it, which is great. Now, I'm not a big fan of VR horror myself. It's way too realistic and way too scary for me. I've got better things to do with my time than give myself a heart attack. But hey, if you're into VR and horror, this'll be a great game for you. A lot of the VR horror games are really cheap, rubbishy sort of games, but this one's a good quality one from a good team with a proper story and gameplay. You can't ask for much more really. So if you're a horror fan and you've got a PSVR 1, you should definitely check this out, especially if you're a fan of the movie. I'm sure you'll really enjoy it. This looks like a really good game for VR horror fans, so why not take a look if you like the sound of that. And hey, if you've never played a VR survival horror game before, then you could start here. You do have quite a few options in this genre, and other ones can be cheaper than this, and they've got equally big franchises attached to them as well, so you do have a lot of options. Basically, if you're into Blair Witch, you could start here, but if not, you do have other options, and some of them are cheaper, so you might want to start with one of them instead, although this is still a good deal if you're really interested. Why not take a look? Next up, we have Castle Crashers Remastered. It was released in 2019, so it's 5 years old, but the original game's much older than that really, and it's on at least an 80% discount for the low price of £2.79 or £1.39 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for everyone, but especially PS Plus members. Now, this is a remastered edition that runs at improved 60 FPS and features high resolution graphics, so you're getting the same game, but better, which is nice. They didn't have to do that, they could have just done a lazy re-release, but they didn't. They made it a little bit better and giving you something extra for free, which is really cool. In this beat 'em up, you get to team up with 3 fellow knights to crash your way through the kingdom to save the princess and win fame and glory for yourself and your friends. It features offline and online 4-player co-op, multiple modes to play, RPG elements, and 25 characters and over 40 weapons to unlock as well. So there's a lot of incentive to replay the game a lot and unlock some new stuff to make your next playthrough a little bit different, which is cool. Now I'm a big fan of old school beat 'em ups, and this was huge back in the day. I remember it being really big on the 360. I never played it myself, but it was raved about everywhere. Everyone loved it, and it was a really good multiplayer game. So if you're the sort of person that's got a group of friends that you play with regularly, or you play games at house parties or with your family, then this is probably a really good game for you. With 4 players being able to play, it's good old school fun, and if you like the sound of that as much as I do, you'll have a great time with this. So why not take a look if you like the sound of it? And hey, if you've never played a beat 'em up before, then you could start here. It may not be one of the biggest ones around or one of the legendary ones, but hey, it's got a really good reputation, and it's at a really low price as well, so you can't ask for much more really. So if you're interested in the genre, or you've got some mates to play with, then take a look at this game. There's a lot of fun to be had, and it's great value for money. Deep Sky Derx Definitive Edition is our next game. It was released in 2020, so it's 4 years old, and it's on at least an 80% discount for the price of £4.99 or £3.99 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, as this edition includes both DLC with new features, content, areas, gameplay mechanics, and more as well. So getting the complete version of the game with all of the DLC included, which is really cool. This is a roguelike deck builder game where you play as a poor stateless outcast in a dystopian future where you seek a fabled derelict alien ship deep in space. Finding it will grant you citizenship and better your life. It features a cool comic book graphics art style and procedurally generated content as well, which is really good for a roguelike. It's pretty much essential, and it makes every playthrough a bit different and more entertaining so you don't get bored so easily. Now, in general, there's a load of roguelikes around, but not a lot of deck builders, so this is a bit of a unique genre. If you're into deck building, you don't have many options, and this looks like a really interesting one. Combining it with roguelike elements makes for a really interesting gameplay idea, and I think people will really like it if you're into one or both of these genres, because it's a pretty unique but cool game. So if you like the sound of this as much as I think you will, then why not take a look at it? It's a really cool and interesting game, and I think there's a lot of fun to be had if you give it a chance. And hey, if you've never played a roguelike deck builder before, then this is a pretty unique game, so you don't have many options, and it's at a pretty good price as well. So if you're interested, then why not take a look at it? It's a very different and unique game, and there's not many like this around. If you like the look of it, it's well worth checking out, especially if you like different and unique games. We have a really cool game next, Ghost of a Tale. It was released in 2019, so it's 5 years old, and it's on at least a 75% discount for the price of £4.99 or £3.99 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for a really cool and interesting game. In this stealth action game, it's set in a world run by rats, and you get to play as the mouse Tilo, and you must escape from the dungeons of Dwindling Heights Keep and search for your lost love Mira. It features an awesome art style, RPG elements, and exploration as well. Now, when this game was announced a few years ago, it didn't get much publicity, and it was only seen by people who really looked into obscure and indie games. And I have to say, I seen it back then, and it looked really cool and interesting, and I'm kind of disappointed it didn't get more coverage, because this looks like a really cool, unique, and very interesting game. You don't see a lot of stealth action games around these days, and this looks like a really good, unique, and interesting one. So if you're interested in stealth games or action games with stealth elements, then definitely check this out. It's a really cool world, it's a really cool aesthetic. It just screams interesting and cool to me. My gut says it'll be a joy for you to play if you like any of this sort of content. So why not check it out? Highly recommended. I was tempted to give it star by, but the price just wasn't low enough. Definitely take a look if you like any of what you've seen here. And hey, if you've never played a stealth action game before, then you could start here. It may be an indie game, but it looks like a really good quality one, and the reviewers loved it. So if you like the sound of it, or you like the idea of this genre, then why not take a look? This might be the best game you've played in ages. We have an FPS next, Hard Reset Redo. It was released in 2016, so it's 8 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.89, which is a really good deal for such a cool looking game. And this edition is even remastered with better visuals and additional content as well, so you're getting the best version of the game with extra stuff as well, which is great. In this first-person shooter, you get to live in the final human city and get drawn into a dangerous conflict between two of mankind's greatest enemies. It features old-school over-the-top destruction, loads of enemies and weapon variety, with a challenging campaign to play through. Now, these days you don't see shooter games with really good single-player stories. They tend to be more multiplayer focused, and that's a shame because we're starting to lose the glory of the old days where we used to have really cool single-player experiences in first-person shooters. I'm not saying we should get rid of multiplayer, but we shouldn't lose this either, and it's really good to see an old-school game like this come back around for a remaster and give everyone a chance to play old-school gameplay at its best. So if you like your first-person shooters with a story, then why not take a look at this? It's dirt cheap and it looks like quality as well. I think you'll have a lot of fun if you like old-school shooters or just action-focused games in general. Why not take a look? And hey, if you've never played a first-person shooter before, then you could start here. It may not be one of the biggest or from one of the biggest franchises, but it's a good quality game at a really low price, which is a really good deal, and you can't ask for much more really. If you like the look of it, why not check it out? At this price, you can't go far wrong really. It's well worth a look. Next up is my star buy, Hunting Simulator 2 Elite Edition. It was released in 2021, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £13.19, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a fantastic deal, as this edition includes the Ranger's Life expansion, Bear Hunter Pack, and the Beretta weapons. The first game's on sale all the time, but this second one is never on sale, and never usually this price either, which is a really good deal. Just be careful because there's a PS4 and PS5 version that are both on sale for the same price, but you can't upgrade one to the other. So if you want a specific one, make sure you buy the right one because you can't upgrade them and you'll have to buy it again. In this FPS, you get to hunt a variety of animals through expansive and stunning natural environments, with a hunting dog to help you stalk your prey, and it features customizable gear, weapons, and accessories as well. Now this is a very unique and niche genre, but it's popular. They've been around a while, especially the Cabela games, and they seem to be pretty popular. Now these days there's not a lot made, and this is basically the most prolific one. It's usually well reviewed and people seem to really like it, and it gets a few sequels as well, so it must be doing well and people must be enjoying it. Either way, this looks like a pretty good deal. You get really big, nice environments to hunt in. You get the extra story modes with the Ranger's Life expansion, plus a load of extra stuff as well, which will make it way more fun for you. And with the variety of weapons and customization to your character, you could basically be any hunter you want and hunt any animal you want. So if that's your sort of thing, you'll probably really enjoy this. So if you like the idea of hunting some prey, why not take a look at this game? Like I said, it's my star buy. It's well worth your time and money if you like this sort of gameplay. And hey, if you've never played an FPS hunting game before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here, because you can buy the older version of this game way cheaper than this, so you're probably better off starting there instead, because they're pretty similar, and it's just a much better discount. But don't worry, I'll let you know when it's on sale next. We have a story game next, Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth. It was released in 2017, so it's 7 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.59, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a fantastic deal for such a cool little game. In this story-driven adventure, which is based on the best-selling book, you get to play through the events surrounding the building of a cathedral in 12th century England, with your decisions changing the story from the book, allowing you to experience multiple different endings and a whole different perspective to the book, which is really cool. Now these days you do get quite a lot of story-driven games that don't have a lot of gameplay but are mainly story-focused. But this one's based on a really big selling book and it got really good reviews when it came out. It may not be for everyone, but in its genre, it's a really good game and it's at a really good price as well. So if you like story games or you like books and you want to see a more interactive version of it, then why not look at this? It's a very cool and interesting game and it's a really good deal as well. So if you're as interested as I am, why not take a look? It's well worth checking out. And hey, if you've never played a story-driven adventure before, then you might want to start here. It may not be the most gameplay-focused game ever made, but if you really enjoy stories, then you'll probably enjoy this. And at this price, you're not risking a lot, so why not take a look if you like the sound of it. We have a visual novel next, ReZero Starting Life in Another World, The Prophecy of the Throne. It was released in 2021, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £9.99, which is a pretty good deal, especially for an anime-themed game with a license attached to it. They're not usually on very low prices at all. In this visual novel, it's set in a brand new ReZero storyline, supervised by Tappei Nagatsuki himself. The royal selection has been postponed as a mysterious sixth candidate appears, seeking the throne for themselves. It features character designs by Shinichiro Otsuka as well, so they're getting some pretty big content creators involved here. If you're a fan of the series, you'll know who these people are, and they'll make the game more authentic for you. Now, in general, I don't recommend games like this to people who aren't a fan of the series. So if you're not a fan of ReZero in general, probably wouldn't recommend this game because there's a lot of visual novels around and you're better off picking one that's not from such a huge franchise of games that you won't understand a lot of the references from. But hey, if you're a fan of ReZero and you haven't got this one, why not take a look at it? It's at a pretty good discount and it's not on sale very often either. So you'll know if it's you, and if you like the look of it, why not take a look? You'll have a lot of fun if you know what it is. And hey, if you've never played a visual novel before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. ReZero has a ton of games, and is probably not best to start in a random one, especially when you can get other really well-reviewed visual novels cheaper than this, and especially when they're independent as well. They're not in the middle of a story or a huge franchise, so you're much better off starting with one of them instead. But don't worry, you won't miss out. I'll let you know when they're on sale next. I love the next game, Stick It to the Man. It was released in 2014, so it's 10 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the low price of £1.29, which is really great for a cool little game. In this puzzle platformer, you are Ray, the hard hat tester who wakes up after a bizarre accident to find a giant pink spaghetti arm sticking out of your head, and now you can read people's minds and stick emotions onto people in order to affect their moods. Now, this is from a company that I'm a big fan of. I've played quite a few of their games, including this one, and I absolutely love it. It's from the same studio as Flippin' Death, Ghost Giants, and some other games I like as well. Now, they make really good puzzle platformers, they're really unique, and the mechanics are always really cool, and they're really fun to play. And this was the first one of theirs that I played, and I absolutely loved it. So if you're a fan of puzzle platformers, or just unique, niche puzzle games, this is very different and very fun. It's a lot of fun if you like puzzle games. Highly recommended. Why not take a look? Especially at this price, you can't go far wrong. And hey, if you've never played a puzzle platformer before, then I would recommend starting here. It's a really good quality, fun puzzle platformer at a really low price. You can't ask for much more really. It's a great place to begin your journey down puzzle platformers. So why not check it out? I promise you'll love it if you're interested in it. And the final game I have for you is Tesla Grad 2, PS4 and PS5. It was released in 2023, so it's only a year old, and it's on an 80% discount for the low price of £3.19, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a fantastic deal for such a good quality game. Now, there is a bundle with 1 and 2 combined on sale as well, but it's actually cheaper to buy them separately. So if you do want them both, don't buy the bundle, buy this one, and then buy the first one on sale, which is on sale for 80% discount at £1.59, which is a really good deal as well. Just don't buy the bundle, it's more expensive. In this Metroidvania, after your airship gets shot down in the far north, you are forced to use your electromagnetic Teslamancer powers to fight for your life while exploring a long-abandoned tower and conquering the ancient monsters within. Now, I've played and completed the first game of this series, and I absolutely loved it. It was a really fun Metroidvania game, and I really enjoyed it. The art style was pretty cool, the story was decent, and it's just really fun to play. I enjoyed my time with it, and I would recommend that game really highly as well. But the sequel is never on sale for very much, and this is the first time it's been a decent sale. So if you're a fan of the first one like me and you haven't played the second, why not check it out? This is a really good deal. And if you haven't played the first one, then why not check that out instead? Especially if you're a fan of Metroidvania games. And why not pick them both up if you're interested? They're both on really good deals. Definitely check them out. And hey, if you've never played a Metroidvania before, then you could start here, but I'd probably recommend starting with the first one instead, because it's a really good game and it's cheaper. And then if you like that, you can always buy this one on another sale. Plus, there's a load of Metroidvanias around, so you've got a lot of options as well. If you don't like the sound of this series, there's plenty more to choose from. But don't worry, I'll let you know when the other games are on sale as well, so you won't miss out on them. And that's all the games I have for the August savings and games under £15 PSN sales. Hey, did you see the PC adapter for the PSVR 2 released? I managed to pick one up. Boy, was it close, but I did manage to get one. And so far I'm pretty impressed. I'm waiting for a Bluetooth adapter upgrade because Bluetooth on Windows sucks. It works on Linux, but it just won't work on Windows. But whatever, I'll get an Intel chipset and then it'll work fine. I'm positive of that. Anyway, it's amazing. If you want a full video on it, let me know and I'll see if I can put one together because it'll take some time. But hey, I'm willing to do it if there's interest. Anyway, what did you think of the games I picked? Did I pick good ones or did I pick bad ones? And what about the star buy? Did it deserve it? Or should some other game have got it instead? Leave all your comments down below and we can talk about it later. Anyway, I hope you guys found some cool games to play. But more importantly, I hope you saved a lot of money. I'll see you guys in the next sale. Au revoir.